Hey guys, so today I want to talk about the roles of each instrument and why it's important to understand that in a band, each instrument has a specific job. And it's important to understand that job because it could be the difference between your band sounding tight and cohesive or just like a big jumbled muddy mess. So in order to demonstrate this, I wanted to showcase a lot of different instruments. So what I have here is sort of an alternative rock style song. We've got drums, we've got bass, electric guitar, acoustic guitar, lead guitar, piano, and synth. So the only thing I've done for the mix is just balance the faders and make sure that everything's properly panned. The only EQ I have is just some high-pass filters just to keep things from getting too muddy, but there's no additional EQ, there's no compression, no special effects or anything like that. So let's have a listen to this first example. This is what it would be like if your band is just playing at 100% and no one's listening to each other and everyone's just rocking out to themselves. It would sound something like this. Now, I don't know about you, but for me as a listener, there's nothing for me to latch onto with that song. There's nothing that gets me bobbing my head or tapping my foot. It just sounds like a big, chaotic, jumbled, muddy mess. So now we're going to listen to a new arrangement, same instruments, same mix. The only thing different is now everyone's playing together and they're playing a specific part for the song. Listen to the difference. Right? It almost sounds like it's been mixed. It sounds wider, it sounds brighter, it sounds bigger, and it's a lot easier to listen to. You can actually bob your head to a consistent beat. So the idea I want to try to sell you today is to change your perspective when it comes to playing in a band. It's really important that you learn to find enjoyment in making the song sound good and not just entertaining yourself. This is especially true for the drummer. If you tell a drummer to play a basic beat, that's like torture to them most of the time. And the main problem with the drums is that they have so much influence over the whole song. As a drummer, you have the ability to control the amount of power in the song. If all you want to do is just hit all the different parts of your drum kit, you're going to have a hard time making songs sound good in different styles of music. You need to realize that you are a composer for the band. Listen to what you're playing and how it's actually impacting the music. Here's an example of the same chord progression, but the only difference is the band is going to hold back, almost like they're playing a verse. Pay particular attention to the drums and how as it's holding back, everything sounds nice and contained. And then listen how it builds up and opens up to make the chorus sound really big. It's that kind of dynamic that's going to make your song sound really good. So let's look at what the drums are actually doing. If you listen to the kick and the snare during the verse section and then compare it to the chorus section, you'll notice that they're actually the exact same. And then in the chorus, the exact same. The only thing changing is how the hi-hat was hit. In the verse, the hi-hat was closed and hitting 16th notes. And then in the chorus, it was opened up playing 8th notes. That simple change has a huge impact on the overall song. Try to learn to appreciate those little nuances and what it's doing for the song. Then not only will you have fun with what you're playing, but you'll sound good too. Now, just because the drums might have been an obvious problem in the first example, doesn't mean that's the only thing that needed to be fixed. Here's an example with the drums fixed, but everything else is still way out of whack. Even though there's a steady beat, I'm still not bobbing my head or tapping my foot. Let's listen to what our bass is doing in this track here. Even though he's playing on beat, it's just not meshing well. The bass's job is to provide a foundation for the note and for the rhythm of the song. The most effective thing you can do as a bass player is to just sync up with the kick drum. Let's listen to what that sounds like. It's a lot tighter, and depending on how you're syncing up with that kick drum can have a big effect on the dynamic of the song. Usually in verses it works to play short notes like we just heard, but as you're building up you can start letting those notes ring out. Once we get to a high energy section like the chorus, you can create drive by playing every single note, but you still want to change from chord to chord in sync with the kick drum. So now that we've got our bass fixed, let's have a listen to the rest of the rhythm section. It still sounds pretty muddy, and that's because we have so many mid-ranged instruments here, and they're all playing in the low mid-range section. If you have too many instruments playing in the same frequency range, you usually lose clarity and it sounds unbalanced. It's very important to split these parts up so that you're using the whole frequency range. In this song we have two different kinds of rhythm guitar. We have electric rhythm and acoustic rhythm. Now the electric rhythm guitar adds drive and punch to the song. Let's listen to our good example without the electric guitar. Sounds kind of hollow, right? Something's missing. There's a whole lot more energy once you add that electric guitar back in there. Usually electric guitar is just going to play bar chords on the lower end of the guitar. This works really well as it sits nicely on top of the bass. Now the acoustic guitar can fill in rhythmic gaps and add texture to the song. Usually with an acoustic guitar you're going to be playing full chords, so you've got a wider range than just a typical bar chord. This adds some top end to the whole rhythm section. Now when it comes to rhythm and dynamics, the electric guitar requires a little bit of finesse. The truth is, if you don't know what you're doing with electric guitar, it's a very noisy instrument and you're going to get annoying really fast. Listen to how this verse section doesn't feel quite as contained when the electric guitar is playing open bar chords. It totally throws off the dynamic. It's a lot better for the electric guitar to palm mute during a section like that. This gives the song a chance to build up so that the chorus has more impact. Now the acoustic guitar is something of a percussive instrument, almost like a shaker. Because of this, it's almost more important for the acoustic's rhythm to stay very consistent. Remember before when I mentioned that the kick and snare during the verse is the same as during the chorus? Well, the acoustic guitar is very similar in that kind of way. The only difference is that you might play a little bit softer during the verses and a little harder during the choruses. So we've got our rhythm section cleaned up a little bit, but let's have a look at the lead guitar now. Now because this example's so short, it's kind of hard to make the lead guitar sound bad, especially since there are no vocals, but if there were vocals, that lead guitar would be doing way too much and it would be getting in the way of that. As the lead guitarist, that doesn't mean you get to solo the whole time. You only get to solo when you have a solo, but during the rest of the song, you're adding melody or top end. Here's an example of our good arrangement without any lead guitar. It doesn't sound bad, but there's nothing really interesting to listen to. That's why a lead guitar can be so important. You don't have to play anything super complex, but if you can add just a little bit of melody when the vocals aren't there, it can give the listener something to follow throughout the song. So our arrangement is sounding a lot better, but there's still something wrong with it. It still sounds kind of muddy, and that's because of the piano. Now the thing with piano is that it can do a lot. It can provide melody, rhythm, fill in gaps, and even provide low end if it needs to. So its role depends on what other instruments are in the band. So let's have a listen to what our piano is doing in the arrangement here. So that piano is adding bass notes, a lot of rhythm, and it's playing in the low mid-range. Those are all things that we already have in our song. Listen to what happens when I mute the piano. You hear how the mix actually sounds better without the piano? That's a problem that you don't want to have. If the band sounds better without you, that means you're doing something wrong. So how can we fix this? Well, let's just move the piano up an octave or so that it's playing on the higher end. We'll keep it pumping those notes so that it's providing some drive for the track. As for the bass notes in the piano, we're going to have them move up more into the mid-range and just let them hold out. Notice that even though the part is simplified, it's still in sync with what everything else is doing. Let's have a listen to the mix now. Now the mix sounds better with the piano. It's actually contributing something to the song. Now having that consistent pumping during the chorus sounds really nice, but having that during a verse section could be kind of annoying. It's just a bit too much. So we're just going to have the piano hold those notes out. Even though that part is simple, it's adding a lot of emphasis to the chord changes, and it's what's best for the song. So our whole arrangement sounds pretty good, but we've got one last instrument to look at, and that's the synth. Now a synth can have a few different jobs depending on what kind of music you're playing. Most of the time the synth is either going to provide melody, add air to the song, or reinforce a part that already exists. So in this song we have a lot of those parts covered already, so we're just going to have this synth add some air to the song by playing up on the higher range of the synth. Now you'll notice during this verse section I actually don't have any synth going on, and that's because the song sounds better without it there. The synth is a very open sounding instrument, and we want our verse to be very contained, so we're going to leave the synth out. That way when it comes in during the chorus, it's going to have more impact and lift to the song. So this concept might be a little easier to adapt in the studio, especially if you're recording songs yourself, because you might not mind making one part really simple if that's what sounds good for the song. But as a musician in an actual band, we don't usually think about what the other instruments are doing. We're usually just focused on what our part is and how fun it is to play. But if you can adapt this perspective of serving the song and doing what sounds best for it, then you can have fun not playing anything at all, if that's what sounds good for the song at the moment. But anyway, I hope that was helpful to you, and I hope you have a better understanding of the roles of each instrument. Until next time.